Hello, welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. Yesterday we got our loot equipped to our player here, so we can now put different tunics on as well as equip different items. Like you can see, we're holding a little orb in our left hand. That is our spellcast item in A slot, and then our loot is equipped in our B item slot. It's just that right now it's only visually equipped, it's not equipped as far as the actual equipment goes. So we'll need to be able to say, hey, if we equip it to our item slot like this, then we render it. Otherwise, whatever else is equipped is on. So since the baggies isn't a real item yet and the berries aren't a real item yet, I think we will worry about just making sure to equip the loot once it's in the item slot, as well as not equip the loot if anything else is equipped, right? So we'll be doing that today. We might be doing some other quality of life stuff with the falling state if I'm feeling up to it. So we can take a look and see how we're currently doing it in terms of equipping an item. So if we take a look at our inventory class, right now we're saying, hey, there's a 2D grid, and the grid is where, see, look, there's two grids here. There is a grid for our key item, and there is a grid for our normal item. So normal item, I guess this is a little weird, like since there isn't an amount of loots to equip, you know, like it says that we have 16 loots or whatever, but we really should just not have any quantity to the loot. It shouldn't look like there's 18 and we don't want it literally saying nil. So I think we would want to only render the quantity if the quantity does not equal nil. So let's see if we can do that. It's not that it is the cursor, it's that it's the item that's in the grid. So if we go into our item class, we can say, as long as our quantity does not equal nil, go ahead and render it. So we can say if, but this is, yeah, if self dot quantity does not equal nil, then we'd want to go ahead and render it. We don't want to literally render nil. So let's see. Okay, so we don't have a quantity there, and it doesn't say nil. I guess the question is, should we have... Part of me is thinking we can move the instruments over to where the tomes are. Because they are more of a key item than a willy-nilly item. I don't know what to call that. It's more of a key item, right? Because there's only one of them. You can't sell it at the store. You can't do anything like that. But I guess that comes down to if we don't have the tomes here, does that mean whenever you equip... Because the idea here is I want there to be a sandbox for the instruments. So like you could just pull out a lute and just play if you wanted to. I don't want it to be, hey, if your lute's equipped, go ahead and play the lute sheet music minigame. I don't want it to basically toggle off right off the bat. And I haven't decided how the puzzles are going to work to kind of play the sheet music. So the other thing is I don't have many ideas for a ton of different items in the game. So it would be nice if we could kind of maybe have 4 instruments taking up our main inventory here. Because I really don't... I can't imagine that we would have 12 different items in the game. that are different use cases. So my thought process was like, we have maybe a couple different random items that help you, like potions, right? Like maybe this heals your healing potion. Maybe we have like 3 or 4 different items like that are kind of consumables, and then we have 3 or 4 different items that are effective against corrupted enemies, or once they're uncorrupted, that the items can function a sort of solution for a puzzle on top. So like the first playthrough is kind of like, okay, we'll use your spells to keep the corrupted entities at bay, but then once you cleanse that area, the animals are still in the area, and now you can use these other items to feed them or to do some sort of puzzle solving to sort of change the area, so that we have a use for both spells and items for the corresponding enemies. So like berries are for the geckos, seeds are for the birds. I think I had a couple other ideas written down somewhere, but I did not bring it with me. I think for now we'll say that instruments are normal items, because it also doesn't make sense to put them in the key items, because they don't get equipped. Like, they have to be equipped to our B slot. Now, these all go to our A slot for the spellcast. These go on our person, and these go in history for like when you pull out your musical instrument, then the sheet music will kind of follow. So all these things are things that aren't equipped to our B slot where our items need to be. So that's another point for items need to be equipped here. Or instruments need to be equipped here in the item slot. We don't have a way to assign a currently assigned item into the grid for the cursor selection, which we probably should, because right now we can't unequip anything. And if we wanted nothing equipped, we should be able to. So let's see if we can figure that out, and then we'll also literally get the loot rendering only when it's equipped. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at how we do this in our inventory class. Now, we have a 2D array called grid, and we have a grid for both our key items and our normal items. Now, that is just an option that we pass. So we have a different set of parameters we initialize our cursor at, depending on which option we switch to in our inventory class. So I'm kind of curious in our pause state how we handle switching over to the other inventory type. We literally just only update the inventory type if the option is selected here. So hey, what's up, Ktronics? How's it going, dude? It looks like the dot inventory type is what's kind of triggering this. But this actually, yeah, this isn't. This is weird because we only have it called dot option for inventory init. So I think this is actually different. We'd have to go into our play state where we actually give ourselves, we actually initialize our inventory system. So if we look for our global inventory, not that, G inventory, really? Oh, G item inventory, that's what it is. There we go. Okay, so the option is passed in here, and then we only update. Okay, so it's a little weird because we're saying, you know, we have 2 inventory instantiations. We pass it in an option, either item or key item, and then we go and update each one of those only if the option is selected for the given inventory. So like if we're saying, you know, we come in here to our inventory, where would it be? In our play state? Pause state. In our pause state, if our inventory type is equal to item, update our item inventory. If our inventory type is key item, so this .inventory type is a field directly related to our pause state, and that's what's handling which one we need to be updating, as well as rendering for, well, I guess we render both. But we only update what our inventory type currently is, so that we don't have a blinky cursor on the wrong inventory side. So I think the move to start doing this, what we need to happen is if we look at our play state, our player entity state, actually, we have a walk state for our player, and we're rendering the loot here. And we're just doing it, we're rendering it right here regardless of anything other than falling. So as long as we're not falling, then we're rendering this luteEquip. But what we really want to do is say, if the player.luteEquipped is true, and this is just stubbing it out, we don't have this just yet, self.player.luteEquipped, and we're not falling, our player is not falling, then go ahead and draw the loot. Now, I don't think we'll crash, but it should stop rendering the loot in our walk state. We need to add the same thing to our idle state because it still rendered the loot for there. So we'll come in here and we'll say when we render this loot, we want to say if self.entity luteEquipped, that's a field that we need to add to our player class. If luteEquipped and not entity falling, then go ahead and render it. So now we should see no loot on either the idle or the walk. Now we need to change this boolean. We'll initialize this .luteEquipped boolean for our player class as false, and then we'll have to make sure to toggle that once we hit the B button on the item in our inventory. So we have to come in here into our player class, and we'll say luteEquipped is false. Now if we were to say, hey, luteEquipped is true, it should render our loot, which it does. And then if it says false, it doesn't. So we just need to toggle this field upon a correct button press in our inventory pause state. Pause state is probably not the right word for it. It probably should be called inventory menu or something. Select is kind of more like the pause. I'm also thinking, because right now pause is like it just puts a couple instructions on screen, like it says like use the keys to move or whatever. But ideally it's going to have a couple of different settings, like save your game, and what else? Save your game. Maybe there's like a stats list that shows like how many of the dungeons you've got. Maybe there's like a map. Maybe we add a map to the inventory too. I don't know. Maybe that's another item we can have. You can whip out your map and reference it, or just part of the settings. I don't know. It would be really cool if we could write a function that analyzes the whole game map and kind of averages out the colors for each scene and renders them as little blobs on a global map. So like it wouldn't have very much detail, but it would be the right colors. It would be the averaged colors of the scene. That could be kind of cool, because then it's like, it might get really muddy. Everything might just come down to green or brown, but that could be interesting, because I know in Link's Awakening they have a sort of very low info map, but I love it. Like it looks, you know, it looks like an old little map in Lord of the Rings or something, where it's like, you know, there's just like some sketched out mountains or like some vague bodies of water or whatever. So it could be cool to add a little map to either our start menu or our select menu or our inventory. So maybe we can do that. Let's see how we're doing our inventory selection for our item. So it wouldn't be in our item class, it'd be in our inventory class for our item. Right now, our item doesn't have a type, so we should probably add a type. See, so we've got an option, which is what to render the image as, which we probably won't keep this parameter. It's just nice for right now, so that we can just say, hey, default to a bag or a berry if we pass in berry as an option. But we really should have a type. So option should probably be type, but for now we'll just add it here over to the end as a third parameter, and we're going to say that our self.type is going to be set equal to the string of the type that we pass in as a parameter, and then we'll have access to what type of item is in there. So now when we come and do our pause state update, we really should probably rename this to inventory state. But right now, it looks like O is the button that is swapping the inventories. That's our B button. Oops. And then P should be our select button. Now, I don't see where we're probably doing it in the item inventory update or a P press. So let's see here if we search for P. Yeah, if we're pressed. So we do a couple of things here. What we don't do is add it to our, I believe we have like an item slot. Yeah, this is it. This item slot is how we're putting what we equip into our bottom item slot. Like item slot is like what's living in the B HUD down there. So if we equip something moved down there, that's the item slot, and that carries over to the play state. So the item slot there, we only render the first item in that slot, which is an item object. So we need to copy over, we basically need to copy over the state of the item slot as well. So we have the item slot, which is an item. So as long as we instantiate our items with the type, which is our third parameter, we should be able to have access to that .type field. But we have to instantiate them here. So we give ourselves, like we just say, give us bags and 9 of them here. But let's say that since this one is a loot, 3-2 is a loot, we'd want to come in here and say that 3-2-1 would be the actual image object, and we'd want to say the type is of string loot. So now we're setting the type of that item, so if we equip it, then it goes into our item slot. What's up, Salto? How's it going, dude? I always instantly know it's you because of the Kaio down there. I also think, so like, I think in my game too, it reminds me a lot of Sonic when you get to the end and you like hit the little button on Dr. Robotnik's machine to like set all the creatures free. That's kind of what parts of my game remind me of too. Is like to go in there and free all the critters. I don't think there's a machine like that in Sonic DX or anything, but I think in the original Sonic they had that. Okay, so we're copying over, we're instantiating the type to be of type loot here. So what we need to do now is to be able to say we are rendering the loot in the item slot, but what we need to do is render our loot if the item slot is not nil and if the item in the item slot is of type loot. So we have that in our player walk state. We can find it in here, player walk state, and we can say, see, it's not .luteEquipped, and we could do luteEquipped here, or we could ask the item slot here, because the item slot, you know, yeah, I'm thinking about it now. I'm curious if it is in DX. I know there was. Ah, shoot. Yeah, maybe I'm tripping too. I can't exactly remember. I'm pretty sure there are little creatures you free, but I don't know if it's like the metal machine that you sit down, you know, like in the classic one. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. Okay, so we can do this two ways. We can either toggle the luteEquipped based on the item slot, which might be the way to do it, but then we'd have to make sure to flush it once we equip something else. So maybe what the move is, we do it based on the item slot. So where would that be? We can do it. I don't think I want to do this luteEquipped. I think we can do like one more nested layer in here that we can say if the list let's make sure the item slot is global and we have access to it outside of the function. Where would it be? It's item slot, right? Item slot. Item slot 1 belongs to our inventory. So item slot for our inventory, we have two inventories. We have a key item inventory and a normal item inventory. And they are called, if we find our play state, G item inventory. So that's going to be for our loot. And we should be able to come into our player walk state and say if the G item inventory dot item slot at index 1 does not equal nil, meaning there is an item in there, because we'll crash if we just try to do something and it's a nil value, so we're kind of evaluating it first. Then we're gonna say if that item that is in there, G item inventory dot item slot at index 1 dot, now index 1, that'll be the actual item, so we should be able to say if the type of the item that is in our item slot is equal to, double equals to the string loot, then we would want to render this as long as we're not falling. So we can say, okay, if the slot's not nil, meaning something is equipped, and the thing, we can't just say if the thing that is equipped is loot, because if nothing's equipped, then it'll crash. So we have to say, hey, is there something equipped? Is that something equipped of type loot? And we would have our player in this entity, in this state, if not self.player falling, then we'd want to render our loot. So let's see. That looks wrong. Okay. So if there's an item equipped, if the item is of type loot and we're not falling, then go ahead and render the loot at our player's location. So this would have to do... Okay, that makes more sense to me. Yeah, okay. I do remember... I thought... I didn't know if I was getting the animals mixed up with the coyotes, but I do remember... I do remember that. That's a good game, man. I remember when that game was coming out, they had like, I guess at Best Buy or something, they had like little demos of it, and I would just sit there and play it at Best Buy. I miss those days. I never had a GameCube either, so it was like extra special to play at one. I only played it at my friend's house because he had a GameCube. Okay, so it's not equipped. We don't see it on our player. If we come in here and equip it, it's equipped in our item slot. And now in our walk state, we do have it. Let's see if we can unequip it. Let's put berries on there. And now it's gone. Sweet. Cool. Now the only difference is we need to do this same thing in our idle state for our player, which we aren't currently updating correctly. We only ever start as idle once, and as soon as we walk, then we're only ever in a walk state, which is wrong. So that might be causing some issues. But then again, we're not really doing anything in idle state. Let's go out of here. Yo, Salto, was there a game that came out when you were growing up that you never got to play even to this day? Is there like a long lost, like, oh man, I should play that now that I can? Well, yeah, it's tough because some games like aren't easy to play anymore too. It's like, oh, you don't have a Sega Genesis anymore, can't play that thing. Or a Dreamcast. You don't even have a Dreamcast anymore, bro? I don't even know you. Okay. We're doing the same thing where like we're asking if the inventory slot is not empty and if the type is of loot and if the self.entity is not falling. Then we'd render the loot. So we should be able to get rid of these lines. Custom robo. Yo, I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've got one. I'm trying to think of what it was. Like, I'm sure I don't even know what the title is. It was just like the cover art at Blockbuster or something, you know? Yeah, my cousin had a Dreamcast, and it was actually pretty sweet. Because they had like a little screen on there. Oh, shit. Player idle state, field player a nil value. That was our bad, because we're trying to do the same logic here. And this is not player. It is actually entity. I'm sure I'm probably more familiar with the cover art for the game than the actual game, because it was one of those things like, you know, whenever you'd go to Blockbuster or Target or whatever, that you'd be like window shopping for the games. I remember I was like beyond stoked for Pokemon Crystal, and I didn't realize it was basically the same as Gold and Silver, just with like the battle station or whatever the hell it was called. I was like so stoked. I thought it was a brand new Pokemon game. Yeah, that was not the case. It's still a great game. But the marketing, I guess they did a good job with the marketing because I bought it, right? Fuck. And you look on the back cover, and it only tells you like the differences. They're always like, yeah, little memory cards too. Yeah, I remember that. There was only like 2 games I remember playing on the Dreamcast, but I think it was like a think there was like a Sega Mario Party like game. It was something like a board game where you play as like Sonic and Tails or something, but I really don't remember. Shadow Hearts. Yeah, not gonna lie, I was kind of pissed about Crystal, but also like the cartridge. If the cartridge wasn't blue and crystally, then I would have been actually pissed. But since the cartridge was so cool, you can't really get mad at it, you know? You're like, it still is the coolest Pokemon game I own, but still, fuck. Okay, sweet. We've got the little loot equipped. And it's equipped in the item slot. And if you unequip it, it stops it rendering. Oh, I did notice a mistake, I think. Look at that. We've got some weird colors rendering there. Ooh, we're like messing up the first frame we're back. Well, it doesn't always mess up. Sonic Shuffle. Okay. Yeah, I must have been too little. Like, I just thought the controllers were so cool. I played at my cousin's house, and also like, you know, didn't spend too much time with my cousin, so it's nostalgic for just that reason alone too. So my color of it is my remembering of it is a little off, I'm sure. Oh, see, we're messing up. See, like, some of the, once we swap it, now that it doesn't consistently mess up here, which is kind of throwing me off. Let's see if we can, I'm gonna see if I can get a bigger render here so I can just tell. No way, dude. No way. I definitely I think I would have skipped Ruby and Sapphire if I didn't actually play them. But I went to my other cousin's house and he was showing me like the bicycle like going up the mud, and just like the graphics on the on the Game Boy Advance, I was like, I need this game. I need this game. So I definitely got Ruby after that. Or Sapphire. No, I got both. I mean, let's be real, I got all of them. And then at that point, Emerald is an easier sell because you know, you're like, I know it's not a totally new game. I'm okay with it at this point. It's not a blind side, you know. I'm going to set the scale factor to 5 and see if that makes this bigger. There we go. Easier to see here. Okay, so if we put our loot on, that looks okay. That didn't mess up, but if we unequip it, see, it's hard to tell, but there's some messed up colors there. This is not resetting. Yeah, this is not resetting the correct frame. So the way this is working is like, see, like it just snapped into place there, and then it worked. So we need to reset. It's weird. Oh, see, it messed up there too. Yeah, see, that's wrong. We need to reset our loot port. Gosh, how do we do this? Because if we look at our idle state, well, we're actually in our walking state, so right here, when we say, okay, this is the texture we're using, the luteEquip, and this is the quad we're using, luteEquip, but this is the frame we're using of the quad, the anim get current frame. So I think it's rendering this like one off still. Like if we were to print up, how would we do this? Like we could maybe say, if we just add a print right here, a love.graphics print, and we can say loot render. I'm gonna assume that this is actually still rendering once we unequip it, even though it shouldn't. So like it should, that would show the error here. Like once we equip this, it doesn't say it. It's because what? Love.graphics print the item. We might need to set our color. I don't know. I loved what's it called? Legacy of Goku on Game Boy Advance. That game was the shit. I love that game. Oh, there we go. Loot render. Okay, so look, if we take out the loot, oh, it isn't there, but it's still fucked up. So like, it looks like I can see the pixels of the loot that are only for the, not the profile, but shoot, I don't know which one. What does that look like? It's got like 3 or 4 pixels. Let me see if any of the frames of our loot look like that. It looks like, yeah, maybe not any of these ones particularly. Because that's weird. Like, it looks weird. That's all of our loot animations. It doesn't look like it, but once you draw it over the character, you can kind of see how it kind of looks like a loot once it's there. But it looks like we aren't rendering it. I thought that would show, because that would mean that the loot was rendering, and that would mean the brown pixels are coming from the loot still. But, oh, it could be in the idle state? No. Let me see if we take the same thing and put this in our idle. If we can get the error to show up while it says loot render. So equip loot render, okay. And then if we unequip it. Okay, I didn't see the mess up there, so let's try it again. Okay, I didn't see the error. There, that's so jacked up. But it doesn't say loot render. Okay, it looks like, oh, it looks like it's the underside. It's the underside of Tashio. It's the him being naked before we render the clothes on top of him. Because there it just reset it and snapped in. So it's this is weird, because this shouldn't ever get. Why would this be happening? It shouldn't ever get decoupled like that, because anytime we render something like the blue tunic, we render it at the exact same frame, anim get current frame. So like this is the default tunic we're rendering, and then if anything is equipped, we render it over that. So it shouldn't mess up there. But maybe the anim texture here is screwing this up. I'm going to try to put in the character fall blue tunic here. Character fall. Oh, and that's just, yeah, we don't want the fall just yet. We want to do it on, shit, what did I do? We want to do it here. If we're not falling, yeah, do it right here. So let's try to put in manually the proper quad title character fall blue tunic. Okay, let's see if we can get the mistake to show up now. Oh wow, it is very, look how jacked up it is. What the hell? That is so bad. I don't know how it would get decoupled. The only thing I could kind of think of is that we would manually see. Look, it's decoupled there. It's rendering the other frame of the blue tunic over the wrong frame of him facing down, and then it snaps into place if we update it. So we might have to just. How would we do this? How would we make sure we reset? It's hard to say because as soon as it might be an issue because we're not updating the frame. We're not updating the, I guess we're only not updating the inventory system. So once we swap, let's take a look at our pause state. And how do we switch out of this once we hit enter again, right? All we do is say, okay, we'll change back to play state. And then play state would go through its stuff, which has the player. Would it be... Oh, shoot. Do we initialize... Oh, see, look at this. We initialize our player... Oh, not in the init. It is outside of the init. Okay. So yeah, we shouldn't reset our player. Okay. But, oh, we are changing back to idle. Let me see. That might be screwing us. But I really don't know. If we just change this state out of the init, let's see if we can, oh God. We can't do that because we need a state, but we should have a state here. Oh, we have to define our player outside of it as well. Okay. Because, yeah, we shouldn't reinitialize this stuff every time we switch back to play state anyway, so we'll go ahead and initialize it. And... all right, play state 54. Yeah. Self.scene. We don't have a self.scene, do we? Yo, how are we even doing that? Okay. I have a feeling it's toggling the wrong frame in our idle, but I guess let's maybe try change this to walk and see if we can get the same error. Okay, I can't seem to recreate it. But I couldn't consistently create it in the first place either, so... Okay. It looks okay. It's... okay, I haven't been able to recreate it since I switched that. So something in the idle state for him is just not syncing up with the correct quad for the outfits. Okay, I can't get it to mess up. So right now we're not doing anything different in the idle state than the walk state, so it is kind of nonsensical. What's up, Magnetonics? How's it going, dude? What I don't get is why it's not crashing here when we try to pass in a self.scene, because there's not even a scene instantiated for the play state, so I'm not so sure why it's not crashing there. Okay, but we can equip the loot, and then he's holding it, and if we unequip it, he's not holding it. So we need to add the same thing, but for our spellcast. So like, since he's holding the blue orb should be in our A slot right here. But we don't have that. We probably need to make a... We can probably render it just with love. As the love.graphics.circle. I'm trying to think if we have a spellcast slot to go with our item slot, and I don't think we do. Okay, let's give ourselves a spellcast slot. Or, yeah, spell. I want to call it element slot. Okay. So we aren't doing... Hey, that's good, Magnetonics. Good, glad to hear that. I've been noticing my my internet tends to really crash like right around 7, and I think it's because everyone is kind of home watching Netflix or something. So I've been streaming a little later than normal because I don't know if it makes it more stable, but I feel like I have less problems if I start a little later. I'm thinking about getting a dedicated router for all my devices and then just hardwire in to my modem and see if that helps too, but so far so good since I've been streaming later. So this is how we're equipping stuff in the item slot. But this is also only in the item option, so if we're in our key item option, we have a way to navigate our cursor with WASD, but we do not have a way to copy. So look, here's our WASD. Then we would need the equip logic. So if it's a key item, there's our WASD. Then we're going to check for if we click on it, and if the thing we clicked on in our selected row, and it's not grid, it should be item grid, or no, we have a different grid if it's a key item slot. Okay, this is the little weird thing. It's like we're using our inventory 2 times if it's for a key item and normal item. So our self.grid, if it is of type key item, the items will be placed in this grid. But the thing is, right now we're not actually placing any items in this grid. We're just rendering the PNG background mockup that we made, so there is no items to technically swap over. And this one's a little different. I think since this one, the only things the only things that see, this one in our item slot, in our item inventory, we copy over the baggie. That also carries over the quantity, so it carries over the whole item class. But for our spellcast, the only thing that goes in our A slot is which element you're holding, and that doesn't need a quantity, so it technically doesn't need an item class. It just needs a item ID or an ID for the selected row and column. So we can say if the selected row is 1, we know it's an element, and then, you know, row 1 would be red, row 2 would be blue, or column 1 would be red, column 2 would be blue. And then we can render a little circle in the A slot based on which pre was pressed in which selected row. So like, let's see if we can, I think we don't need to do this item copy stuff because we aren't trying to do, you know, we aren't trying to equip the item because that will put it in the B slot. We aren't copying an item because we don't need to pull it back out. Well, I guess we would need to, yeah, we don't need to swap it. We would just, it depends if we want to be able to unequip a spell too. Then we would want to carry over the type of spell that's equipped. We can literally just trigger it with a string though. We can save, you know, we can say selected spellcast gets fire if P is pressed on a selected row 1 selected call 1, because that's where the fire is. So we could do that. We don't need item slot. I want to say, let's just try this where we can say if P is pressed, then let's just say render circle gets true. I just want to test something out here. We just want to say rendered circle gets true. And then we can initialize render circle as false up here just to test this out. Render circle gets false. And then in our render function, we're going to say what is happening? Why? Everything I do, it tries to record a macro. Yo, what is happening? If render circle, then we would do a set color. And then love.graphics draw. It's actually circle, love.graphics circle, and I believe it takes in a fill type and then a radius and diameter. I'm gonna have to look this up. Mode XY radius, that's all it is. So XY, let's just put it towards the bottom. So X would be virtual width minus maybe 50, I don't know. And then Y would be virtual height minus, let's say 20, and we'll give a radius of 10, and we'll see what that looks like for the spellcast. So this is going to be a red element if it's equipped. So we have to swap over inventory 80 bad argument 1. We don't have red, Then let's put, we should have blue, yeah. Okay. Okay, I did not see it. Render circle, let's just say render circle in our inventory is set to true by default. Set color, number expected. Oh, it's not a string. We literally just pass in the enum for red. Okay, there's our circle. Okay, so it needs to go left and down and smaller. So let's go left and down. And smaller. Okay, close. So the idea is we would trigger this render circle. We could keep, I don't know the way to do this. Because for our item slot, we have an empty table called item slot. We're putting the actual item instantiation in that item slot and copying it out if we do anything else and swap it. But the only thing we would need to swap out is the actual type that's currently equipped, but we could manually assign that as a string once we click on it. And the render for the circle, which we can toggle the same way, where we can say, hey, if fire spell's equipped, set the color to red, then render. If there's no thing, don't render anything. There's nothing in our spellcast equipped. Otherwise, it would just ask what string it's equal to, and then set the correct color there. Let's move this to the left a bit more. Okay, that's pretty close. Okay, really close. Down one and left one. Okay, it really doesn't like being any amount of pixel to the left. If I minus 1 pixel to the left, it's too far left. So minus 86 is too far left, but 85 is too far right. So there's no win in there. If anything, the drop shadow on the right there kind of looks okay, but kind of bugs me it's not perfect. Let's try, yeah, if we do a 0.5 on the pixels, I don't think it'll take it. It does. What's up, KFS? How's it going? Welcome in. That is really strange that it kind of shrunk it when we gave it a float there. That is weird. Okay, so let's try to toggle. Oh, we're not able to even toggle our items anymore, which is not good. Okay, I think we accidentally removed our item copy. Yeah, we accidentally removed our item copy from our item selection, which isn't even here anymore. So I definitely messed that up. Yeah, see, and then we're rendering item. We're rendering our circle on our item class. We really screwed this up. Yeah, hey, me too. We're making a game here. Right now I'm literally just trying to fix the old thing we had fixed already. I can show you what we're trying to do. So right now, we're trying to get items equipping for our player. So normally I can press the A button and assign these items into our slot down there. Actually, yeah, the A button will assign it to slot B because that's where the items are, but we accidentally broke this, so I kind of have to fix this. We should have some. This is the item copy that I'm looking for. So this is what I accidentally deleted, and that's why it's not working. So this is all we need. I just don't know if I can copy this. Can I not copy this? Hey, thanks for the follow. Okay, so I think what we can do here is we could get, I think it's called no pager. And then we can run get diff with no pager. Okay, then we get it here and we can copy it from here. We need to pull out our old copy logic. I accidentally deleted this. This is what was giving us moving our grid. Really, I can't do this? We can just type it, but it's like... Okay. Copy line. What is going on? I don't even know how to... I can... On my Mac terminal, I know I can do this. Oh, there it goes. It just pasted it in there. Okay, so can we paste it? Shit. See if we can paste it here. No, we cannot. All right. There's got to be a better way to do this. You know what? What we can do, I can literally just take it from the GitHub real quick. So it looks like it's after P is pressed. I'm in NeoVim KFS, which this is like... I normally don't use Windows when I'm programming. I'm normally on Mac, but for streaming I'm on Windows. So I'm going to blame Windows on this one because I can't copy from the terminal. But I'm just going to pull the code we need from our last commit here. It's in our source inventory, and it should be this. It wasn't what we did. Yeah, it wasn't what we did here actually. I just want to see what our source inventory was here. Okay, it's right here. Under a P press, this is what we need. Okay. Okay, let's see if we got that back. Nice. Okay, so now we can equip these things. So what we did today was, oh hey KFS, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm here. I work on the game every night. Normally around 7 p.m. Mountain, but lately it's been closer to 8. But you can see we've got this little loot equipped now. And if we unequip it, it stops rendering on our player. So the idea is that, you know, it'll only render whatever item you've got equipped. And then once your loot's equipped, you can play this little loot mini game here. So we have it, it's like Guitar Hero, right? So if you hit the right fret and the right string, you can play the song, but you can also just play music outside of it. We're trying to get this to work on the mobile deployment. So like right now, if you were to go to Tashio.dev, you can play the current build with WASD and L to toggle the loot, UIOP for the strings, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the frets. But if you go on mobile, there's no way to toggle this loot minigame. So now that we're able to have the loot equipable and we can see that the loot's equipped, now I'm going to be working on, you know, in the next day or two, I'm going to be working on adding the touch detection for the inventory system. So we haven't touched the web deployment since we added the inventory system this past week. So we're going to have to add the touch detection to trigger the pause state, which holds all the inventory stuff, as well as the you know, whatever items equipped and whatnot. So I think we're going to try to set our render circle here. And the circle renders for our spellcast. So if we look at our inventory here, whenever, you know, you can swap inventories here. So this is our item inventory, and then if you hit the B button, it'll swap to your key item inventory. And if you select any of these elements, that's what gets equipped down here in your spellcast slot or your element slot, whatever we call it. So right now I'm just trying to place this circle here in the A slot so that we can render the element just like we've got one equipped right now. We got the blue one, but it's just rendering whether or not it's equipped or not. So we need to switch that so that it's like our loot, where it only renders if it's equipped. So right now I'm just trying to get it placed so that we can render it nicely, and then we can toggle the render based on the inventory selection. So it's close. We need to move it left and down a bit. But yeah, the game engine is Love2d, and the language is Lua, and the IDE here is NeoVim. So it's nice because I don't need any heavy things running. I can just run the game engine from the terminal here, launch it with the terminal, and NeoVim's nice because I can just kind of practice my motions and stay in the terminal environment. So Git is nice to use. We need to move this left too. Okay. It doesn't quite line up perfectly here. And also we don't trigger it based on applying any color here. So what we could do is say right here, this P touch is pulled from our key item, which we don't need a lot of this. This is where I messed up last time. I went to delete this and I deleted it from the item, not the key item. So now once we delete this, we shouldn't ruin our functionality. We're not copying over an item I think we're going to be, for right now, we can literally just say, if you select, let's see, if the grid is not nil, see, we don't even want that. Let's just say, it is weird. It is weird. I do like a lot of it because I can do some stuff fast. Like if I want to replace this word selected, I can substitute anytime we say selected and replace it with KFS 74 and do like a quick find and replace. And the biggest thing is that my hand can stay on the keyboard here. So like I don't have to move my hands to the mouse and fiddle with any of this stuff there. I just move around and type what I want and stay on the keyboard here. So that's the big benefit. It just helps with contact switching, I think. So see, like I want to go to render circle at the top so I can hit GG and I go right to the top of the file here. So like little stuff like that. And it says true. And if I want it to say false, I can do CW and type false. And I didn't have to go move my whatever, you know, didn't have to go highlight it, then type it. I can just stay on the keyboard down here. So it's just something I've been trying to learn to just get a little better. So we're toggling that on now, but what we really want to do is add like a ternary operator here, so we can say render circle gets true and false or true, which is really weird, but that should be the ternary operator so that we can swap it every time we press, which is not the case. Render circle, I think we have to say false and true or false. This is like, I always get screwed up on this. Okay, that is not right. We're trying to swap it. I like the ternary because it's a little more elegant than if statement like this, an if-else statement, but I can't get it to work all the time, so if by the time P is pressed, if we're already true, then we get false. If we're already false, then we get true. So now it should toggle on and off once we hit P. And it doesn't toggle off. Why? I think one thing that's screwing me up is that this should only be detected in the key item, but we're not updating the key item unless the option type is, I think in our pause state we have an inventory type. Yeah, so we start with an item, not a key item, so we shouldn't be updating our key item inventory because we're an inventory type of item. So it's a little confusing to me that it would render on once we press P here. Oh, that's weird. So here it toggles fine, but over here it doesn't toggle anytime I press P. So I don't know what's going on there. Oh, I know what it is. We left it up here. We manually set it here. That's my bad. Okay. So let's try the ternary again. And let's see if we can pull it off. Okay, so we're gonna say render circle gets true and false, or true, which is a ternary way in Lua. which will just swap the value. Let's see if we can toggle it. It shouldn't toggle here at all. That's good. But if we're swapped over to our key item, we can toggle it. It's not toggling on. Let's do the old... Why does this happen? And false. It shouldn't matter what order the ternary's in, but for whatever reason I can only get it to toggle. Oh god, now it's not even toggling. Red circle gets true. I think we have to do... Oh, test equality here. No? I gotta look this up. Let's see if there's any time we do a false and true. Oh, we have to assign it. Assign it, then check equality. That's what we're missing. And false. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we say red circle, render circle gets render circle, test for falseness. If it is false, it'll be true. If it's not false, it'll be false. So it just swaps the boolean there. And now pressing P doesn't render it there. Pressing P toggles it over here. Okay, cool. So we'll need to do it instead of just toggling the red, we need to ask, hey, by the time KFS, it's literally, yeah, we are programming in the terminal. It's exactly that. And there's like, because like I'm in the terminal here, I can come right back to NeoVim, and I'm on this program called Tmux. So if I want like a different window, I can open a new window here, and I can do all my get whatever. If I want to see what's different in my get, I can just open a new window and I can swap back to my other window. Or if I want to split the window, I can split it like here and do my get right here and not leave the terminal and just kind of stay on the keyboard doing all that stuff. So it's, you know, I'm learning programming, so I'm trying to like learn some tools that are kind of useful for different workflows. And I really like NeoVim because if I'm working on a server, you don't have access to your IDEs. So it's nice to know the Vim motions and just modify all my files on the server using Vim motions, because the NeoVim motions carry over. So it's really nice when I'm working on my server. I feel like I'm at home. So it's nice that I'm confident with that. So like that feels pretty good. But I'm sure people get a little annoyed at it because I'm like, you know, I don't have a file tree. I only have my harpoon with all my files and stuff. So like, I think it rubs people weird sometimes. Cool. So what we would need to do, I've been working on this since February. So I've been building it from scratch since February, been documenting my process. And I took 2 months off because I was in school. So I went through a computer programming boot camp for 2 months, and it was full time. So it's whatever September to February minus 2 months is the total development time. But it's been about every single day other than going to school. And my sessions are normally like an hour to 2 hours. So if that gives you an idea of how much time it's been. And here I'll show you, we've got some enemies too. We've got some enemies in spellcasting. So if you hit spacebar here, you can spellcast, and there's some enemies. Now they can hurt us and we can hurt them. And then we can kind of cleanse them and turn them back into normal geckos. And then we've got some animation working. We've got collision detection working. We've got a pipeline for not only web deployment, but we've got builds for Mac, Windows, and Linux. We can walk into little huts like this. They don't transport you anywhere just yet, but the rendering here, you know, we're rendering on top of the ground. The cabin's rendering on top of us. So there's you know, there's some depth there. And then we're using a tool called Tiled where we can draw the whole map all at once and import them by sprites. So there's only one sprite sheet we're rendering all the artwork from. You know, not the entities, but all the world, all the overworld stuff. We're doing that here through this master sheet. So this is all the tiles of the whole game so far. It's just that we pull that tile into this program and we can paint using that master sheet. So we can take whatever tiles we have and we can paint out a whole scene here. So this is the whole game currently. It's a lot of placeholder art, but we're able to draw the whole map where we want. So right now in the game there's 100 screens to walk to, but it's all this like placeholder art right now. But what's cool is anytime we paint a post or a sign or a stump, our player can't interact with it. It's collidable, so we can't walk through it. And anytime we put the first frame, anytime we paint the first frame of an animation, it'll go ahead and insert that whole animation. So the game is literally running in Game Boy resolution, and it's only rendering one screen at a time. So like we're not pulling in this whole map, but we have a table of numbers that all of these tiles map to, and we have a reference to whatever current scene we're in. And then we're saying, hey, take your current scene, go and pull the first 80 tiles, and you know how to place them because you have the tile number, you have the tile sheet, and you know place 10 and then go to the next row, place 10, go to the next row. So we're able to scale this game even further. You know, right now there's 100 scenes. That'll probably be the main part of this overworld. But when we walk into something like if we walk into a cabin or we walk into this underground cave or whatever, then there'd be another map of like an underground dungeon that we'd pull in, which we don't have at the moment, but that's the current goal. And I'm trying to do my best to ship the game within a year and a half. So I want to ship the game within 2 years of development. So I'm trying to get as much done as I can, as effectively as I can, but this is the biggest project I've ever done, so I'm still learning very much. You know, like I'm not a pro, I'm still learning, I'm teaching myself and documenting it like as I go. So hopefully it can inspire some people to maybe try the game engine or maybe try game dev in general. Because I found it tough to stay consistent programming, so I ended up just recording myself and building stuff. And I felt like I focus a whole lot better when I'm literally recording. So I'll just record myself and then I'm not on my phone, and then I can just talk through my process and treat stream as like a rubber duck debugging session. And then, you know, I just show up daily and try to get stuff done. So it's cool. I'm super happy with the web deployment. It's nice it works on the phone. So the goal is we just keep chugging along and get little by little every day. So inventory system was a big one we needed to work on, so we've been doing that this week. And then once I'm done migrating the loot system over to Game Boy, being workable on Game Boy and touch detection, then we'll be back where we were like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but we'll have the added Game Boy and web deployment pipeline all set up. So I'm super stoked. Our web deployment is as easy as you git pull, you run build, and then you upload the files to the web server, and then it's live. So it's like a 3-step process, super easy, takes less than a minute. Next big update is probably the inventory system is the big update that we're working on. Once we you know, this is obviously like the programmer art for it, right? The little character here, but ideally we have it where you can change your tunics here in the menu, in the key item menu. And if we were to go into our player class over here, and we can say we don't have any special tunic equipped, then that'll get our default tunic. So the big update has been this, like, oh, well, now we need to be able to equip different spells. We need to be able to equip different tunics. So if we want like our red tunic equipped, we can come in here and say red tunic equipped, and it's rendering that. Actually, yeah, that's messed up. Red tunic equipped gets true is what we need. Okay, there's our red tunic, and we have a green one and a blue one and a yellow one. So those will give us different buffs. But other than getting the loot working on Game Boy, that's like the next big update, is getting the loot system to work on the Game Boy, so that we can play different frets and strings on the Game Boy UI, which we have to rehaul some stuff for that. So I would say that's the next big one. And then after that, we can come back to, we were working on our dialogue system, as well as, so like if we come up here, oh, see, yeah, we jacked this up because enter used to be the button to read a sign, but now enter is to toggle the inventory. So now we can't read a sign without toggling the inventory. So the dialogue system with the NPCs and the other just sign dialogue system, all that stuff is probably the next big update after that. Then we'll be able to flesh out other places. So if we walk into a cabin, it'll load us into the cabin, like scene transitions, other than the overworld scene transitions. So that's coming up probably all this month. And then, you know, a scene transition when you walk into this cave to go transition you into a dungeon. Yeah, and then we've got a particle system for different weather. We'll have to add different spell casting and different musical items. Right now we've just got a fire spell and a lute to play. But there'll be 4 different spells and 4 different instruments. So that's kind of all that's on the pipeline for in the next month or so. So I'm hoping by the end of next month we can play the lute on the Game Boy, we can walk into a cabin and load that, and we can also manipulate our inventory system from the mobile touch deployment as well. We can get that done in a month, then we're in a good spot for future development, because now that we've made one spell, it's easier to make a new spell, and we have the way to equip it and render it, so we'll be moving on from there. And then I like in NeoVim too, like I'm running, I can run git diff here in the terminal without even leaving NeoVim. So we can check to see what we changed for this commit here. So all we really did was, well, we're rendering a circle for our spell item. We added a type to our item so that we can assign our loot item to be rendering our loot if it's equipped. So we have a self.loot equipped now for our player class, and if that loot's equipped, then we'll go ahead and render it. We also changed our default state for our player to be walk state instead of idle, because that was giving us some issues. We'll have to make a note to fix that, because I'm going to forget that was an issue and that we fixed it by just not having an idle state. So I'll need to add that. So I'll say init idle state without player render bug. I don't know what to call that. Okay. Okay. Sweet. So we'll call it there for tonight. We'll get at everything and say that we added luteEquip for player and testing spellcast equip render, elementEquip render. There we go. Okay. Sweet. So that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll raid out here. We'll raid, who? Hey, thank you for the bits. Hey, thanks, KF. I really appreciate that. Thanks for making it rain, dude. Appreciate it. Thanks, yeah. If you want to check the source code or build it on your own machine, we've got all the source code is available right there. If you want to play with the tile editor, it's just called tiled. So you could, you know, if you're a modder, the game is super easy to mod because you can have access to all the tile sheets and just paint whatever you want for whatever levels and run it right there. The game engine is Love2d, and all the source code's right there if you want to play around with it. I don't know if you're a developer or what, but thank you for the bits. I appreciate it. We'll raid out here to, let's see, we'll raid Foul. I haven't raided him in a while, and he is live, so we'll raid him. But yeah, hope you have a great night, and I'll be here tomorrow. Thanks for watching.